Thank you for taking the time out to join our pre-match press conference. We have with us Mr. Daniel Sands.
Hi Dan, congrats on the fine showing in the last match. You had said after the game that you concentrated on what you could do best rather than focusing on what the batter was doing, which is something you were doing earlier. So I just wanted to ask you, how did that change come about, and who did you speak to in the coaching team? How did the coaching team or any other players help you make that shift?
So I think it's kind of hand in hand. So I had a little bit of time to think about it, like I previously said, and working with Shane Bond, our bowling coach, who I have a pretty good relationship with, as I've worked with him with Thunder before, and also working with Jasper as well, just talking about some stuff in regards to we always plan for what the batter does, but in the end, especially when it comes down to a crunch moment, Booms always goes pretty much to his Yorker, and that's his strength. And he knows, regardless of what the batter does, he's got more chance of executing that because that's his strength. And so that made me, those kind of conversations with him and working with Bondi helped me realise that I've kind of been edging more to, okay, what's the batter's weakness? I'm just going to target that, even if it's potentially something that I'm not very good at. So there is a little bit of a fine line, but in those crunch moments like that last over, it's kind of thinking more, okay, putting the percentages in my favour and thinking, what do I have the best chance of executing?
Could you just elaborate maybe on what the conversations with Bond, and you said a little bit about the Yorker that Bumrah spoke about, but I remember in a MI video you had said that you've had a lot of conversations with Bumrah. So just what has been that talk about, and how has that helped you, and also with Bond?
So the conversations have basically been around, okay, what are your go-to balls? So for me, my go-to balls are my slow ball variations, and then it just depends on what length and what line. So that's kind of like the balls that I go to. Yeah, it's one ball, but there's different areas I can bowl it to. Conversations-wise, it's been kind of the same conversation, just numerous amounts of times in different ways of training. So talking with Bondi, fiddling around a little bit while I'm bowling, thinking about, okay, if I'm bowling at this angle, what's my go-to ball, length, line. It's kind of getting into those kind of little finer details and just kind of playing around. And sometimes it changes because obviously we're humans, so things change day by day. So me bowling a slow ball out wide, I may not be executing that as good on a particular day as bowling my full slow ball at the stumps. So it's figuring out what's working on that day as well. So they're basically the conversations that we've had, and then just working on that at training.
Thanks.
No worries.
Niharika, you want to go next?
Yes. Good afternoon, Dan. First of all, congratulations on the good show in the last game. I just want to know from you that now Mumbai have won back-to-back matches. So how does these wins do to the side? Like, how does it boost the morale of the side after having lost 8 consecutive games?
Yeah, so I didn't quite catch it. Was your question asking how we kind of stay motivated after?
How does it do?
It's one of those things. So obviously we're not going to be able to make the playoffs, but I think kind of how we've set up the rest of the tournament for us is we've got a mini IPL. So the last 6 games, so we've played 2 of them already. We're just kind of judging ourselves on that, and so. Yep, this year we can't make the playoffs, but we can still build on a lot of things for the coming season. So every game, regardless whether it's an important game, whether it's a final, whether it's the first round of a tournament, I think for us as players, they're just as important. And I think that's a really important thing, not to have more value on one game or another, because then it makes you prepare the same, you have the same routines. So motivation for the guys is we want to win the rest of our games. So that's basically what's motivating us. We want to finish this IPL on a bit of a roll, and we see our team as a really good team, and we want to prove that over the next coming games.
Niharika, any follow-up?
No, thank you much.
Saurabh, anything?
Yeah, actually. Hi again, Dan. I just want to go back to, a month ago when you had that over where Pat Cummins had like a freak innings. And I remember after that, Zahir Khan had said that, you are a generally upbeat character, and you know that this can happen in the game and it has not affected you. But, can you talk us through how that last month has gone behind the scenes, and in terms of, maybe what Zahir or Mahila or someone, Rohit, what they've talked to you about, and how you have dealt with it yourself?
Yeah, it's. I think, if I'm being completely honest, it was really, really challenging. Struggling in the first game and then that third game against KKR, you definitely start to have doubts. You start to question yourself, question what you do, if you're good enough, that kind of stuff. And that's natural. I think all athletes, whatever sport, kind of go through that. It's kind of how long you stay in that kind of frame of mind. So it took me a little bit to be able to kind of move from doubting myself and kind of worrying about all that, to be able to move on and think, okay, well, what can I learn from this? So I had, basically everyone here has been amazing. I've had great conversations in regards to look at what I've done in the past, look at what I've been able to achieve. Yep, these things happen. Let's look at, instead of thinking about, oh, it happened, you got hit for however many innings over, let's think, okay, why did it happen? Look at the footage, what did you bowl, and all that kind of stuff. And that's where it came about that I wasn't quite bowling my strengths. I was bowling my slow balls, but I was bowling up rather than into the pitch, and things like that. So through the conversations with, there was MJ and Bondi and Jasper and a few others, that I was able to realise why those things were happening, and then we were able to kind of rectify them at training, work on a couple of things, and then be able to kind of stay calm, stay focused, and just commit in a game.
Great, thanks.
No worries.
Last question has come in on the chat. You were instrumental in finishing off the game. Previously, you were instrumental finishing off the last game. How much does that bode for your confidence going into the next set of games?
Yeah, it's massive for my confidence. I think what's important though is more not so much the result of what happened. Yes, we want to win, but it's more about how was I mentally in those scenarios. Was I panicking or was I calm? I look back at those games compared to the previous games at the start of the tournament, and those previous games I was nervous, a little bit panicky, not quite committed on what I wanted to execute, where those last two games I went out there, felt like I had nothing to lose, and I was just calm and I knew what I wanted to do, so I was just able to execute. So they're the things that I take into the next few games, or hopefully for the rest of my career, just to be able to stay calm, think about what I'm going to do, commit to it, and just execute it. And that way it gives me the best opportunity to be able to get the result that we're after.
Okay, thank you everybody for your questions. Thank you, Dan, for your time. And we'll wrap up here. Thank you everybody. Have a good day.
Guys.